Hi friends, in the previous part we saw Biot-Savart's law, right? And in this part we are going to begin with Ampere's circuital law. The integral form, I'll just go through it fast. The integral form of this law is integration over the curve C B bar dot dl bar is equal to mu naught I enclosed. I enclosed stands for the total current which is enclosed by this integration path. That is nothing but the current enclosed by the Amperian loop. And in differential form, you are having del cross B is equal to mu naught J bar. J is the volume current density. The divergence of this magnetic field is equal to 0. And this shows us that magnetic monopoles do not exist. Let's find the magnetic field due to an infinite sheet. So let's say, consider this. This is the x, y and the z axis. We have an infinite sheet in the xy plane. It is infinite, so it goes on in the entire plane. And it carries a current, surface current in the x direction. So k bar is equal to k x hat. Okay, that is the surface current density, right? Now I am going to consider an Amperian loop of length L. And using the Ampere's circuital law, we are having B bar dot dl bar is equal to mu naught I enclosed. I enclosed here, we know what is the formula for, we have already seen in the previous videos. K is also equal to current I into length perpendicular, right? So here this is, so I will be K into L. So this will be mu naught K into L. dl is the length, so this is distance is L, this distance is also L, it comes out to be 2L into 2L is equal to mu naught KL, and therefore the magnitude of the magnetic field will be equal to mu naught K by 2. But what is the direction of this magnetic field? There are two ways of doing this. First I'll show you the long method, then we will look at the trick. This, my x-axis is coming out, y-axis is along that direction, z-axis is going up, and my plane is like this. Okay, plane is like this. So let's say I'm looking from the x-axis, I'm looking from here. So what will I see is, this will be my y-axis and this is my z-axis. I'm looking from here and I will see these surface currents K which are coming out of the plane, out of this board. Okay, K in the x hat direction because x hat is outwards. So if you consider just one of these surface currents, point the current in this direction, we'll curl our hands, curl our fingers, and magnetic field is going like this, which is the anti-clockwise direction. So if you consider one current, then the magnetic field in this region is going in the anti-clockwise direction. If you consider this part also, current in the outwards direction, curl your fingers, magnetic field is going like this. So in this region also, the magnetic field is going in this direction. Now I can just transform this. Now I will overlap this both. So the magnetic field here is in this anti-clockwise direction. Magnetic field here also is in the anti-clockwise direction. Now if you consider above the y-axis and you consider below the y-axis. If we consider above the y-axis, we can see that this magnetic field, the magnetic field due to the right part, this part is going in this direction. So the magnetic field due to the right part is going in this direction. Magnetic field due to this left of the z-axis, this part is going in this direction. So the net magnetic field is in this direction, right? If you consider below the y-axis, that is for z less than 0, what we will have here, this from the left part the magnetic field is going upwards, magnetic field goes upwards. from the right part the magnetic field is going downwards, so the net magnetic field is towards the right. Thus the entire magnetic field B is equal to mu naught K by 2. This is the magnitude. The direction is minus y hat direction for z greater than 0, and this is mu naught K by 2 plus y hat direction for z less than 0. I hope that's clear. So now in exams, instead of wasting time drawing all this and then finding the net direction, there is a trick to doing this. For that, we will take our right hand. If we want to find for z greater than 0, okay, first case we will look for z greater than 0. We can see that the plane is like this, right? Like this in the xy plane. For z greater than 0, I'll take my right hand and I'll put the white surface of my hand, because we have a darker surface, this surface, and the lighter surface, which is this surface, right? So I'll put my lighter surface on the paper. My thumb will point in the direction of current, which is like this. I'm not able to exactly make it. Outwards, x hat direction. And my fingers will give me the net magnetic field, which is towards the left, that is in the minus y hat direction. Now for z less than 0, I'll same take my palm, place my hand at the bottom of the paper or at the bottom of this xy plane, point my thumb in the direction of current. The current is coming out in the x hat direction, which is outwards. This is my current, and my fingers will give me the direction of magnetic field, which is towards the right in the y hat direction. So for z greater than 0, the magnetic field is towards the left, and for z less than 0, the magnetic field is towards the right. So in exams, you will get wrong answers if you are not careful. You have to be careful in which direction you point x, y and z axis. We have already seen that y cross z should give you x. We have already seen which is the right way of writing which direction will point x and which direction will point y and which direction will point z. You have to be careful about that, because instead if I had y here and if I had x here, then this entire work which I'll do, I'll get the wrong answer. The Biot-Savart law which we saw holds for only steady currents. Okay, if you do not have a steady current, you cannot use those formulas. So if you have just a point charge which is moving with some charge q moving with some velocity v, you cannot use this in the Biot-Savart formula here, because this does not give rise to a steady current. And the Ampere's law, it can be used in current configurations like infinite straight lines or infinite planes or infinite solenoids as well as toroids. So if we compare our electrostatics and magnetostatics, what we can say is, in electrostatics, the divergence of this electric field is del bar dot E bar is equal to rho upon epsilon naught, which was Gauss law, and the curl of the electric field, that is del cross E, was 0. In magnetostatics, the divergence of the magnetic field del dot B was 0, and the curl of the magnetic field is equal to mu naught J bar, which is the Ampere's law. In electrostatics, we had Coulomb's law. In magnetostatics, we have Biot-Savart law. In electrostatics, we had Gauss law. In magnetostatics, we have Ampere's law. And in electrostatics, we had scalar potential, which was a scalar quantity which we saw V. In magnetostatics, we have a vector potential, That is, the potential is a vector quantity represented by A. So we have seen all of this. We have not seen vector potential yet. Let's look at the vector potential now. The magnetic vector potential A is a vector quantity such that the direction of A is same as the direction of the current. Some formulas are B is equal to del bar cross A bar and del bar dot A bar is equal to 0. The unit of this magnetic vector potential is Tesla meters. The Poisson's equation which we saw in electrostatics was del squared V is equal to minus rho upon epsilon naught. Here the Poisson's equation is del squared A bar is equal to minus mu naught J bar. In electrostatics we saw the scalar potential as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R. Here we have A bar is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi, 1 by epsilon naught here will replace by mu naught, integration I by R dl. It can also be mu naught upon 4 pi integration, or you can write this as I can come out and we'll have dl bar upon R, because the direction of dl and the current is in the same direction. Or it can also be written as, in terms of surface currents, we'll have mu naught upon 4 pi integration k bar dA upon R, and in terms of volume currents, we'll have mu naught upon 4 pi integration J bar d tau upon R. Now, if we consider closed integral A bar dot dl bar, then using the Stokes theorem, we can have here, this is curve C, we'll have over the surface del bar cross A bar dA, right, dot dA bar. But del bar cross A bar is nothing but B bar. So this will be again over the surface as B bar dot dA bar. So here we have this formula, closed integral A bar dot dl bar is equal to surface integral B bar dot dA. So when we have, in problems when we have the current which tends to infinity, then we cannot use this formula, right, because the current tends to infinity. Then we will use this formula. I'll write this formula as, this is equal to integration over surface B bar dot dA bar. We will be using this formula. Let's look at some examples. The question is as follows. We have an infinite solenoid with n turns per unit length and the radius of the solenoid is r. We have to find the magnitude of the vector potential A for region R which is less than r, that is inside the solenoid. We have to find the value of A. Now since it is infinite solenoid, again we can use this formula, A bar dot dl bar is equal to integration B bar dot dA. Magnetic field due to infinite solenoid is mu naught n I. dA is the, so let's say I am having infinite, this is the axis and this is the infinite solenoid. It goes in this direction, it goes in this direction. This entire radius is r and we have to find vector potential at a radius small r, which is at a distance small r which is less than r. So then this will be mu naught n I dot dA. Area here will be pi r square and A into dl will be 2 pi r. Then A will be equal to pi and pi cancels, r and r cancels. We'll have mu naught n I r by 2. This is the magnitude of the vector potential at a distance r less than r inside the infinite solenoid. Next question is, in a constant magnetic field of 0.6 Tesla in the z direction, we have to find the value of this path integral a bar dot dl bar in the units of Tesla meter square on a square loop. This is a square loop of side, let's call this length L, or we can just call this S, of side is equal to 1 by root 2 meters. The normal to the loop makes an angle 60 degrees with the z-axis. We have to find this integral. Again, using the formula, integral a bar dot dl bar is equal to integration over surfaces b bar dot dA. B bar dot dA is nothing but b into area into cos theta, right? This angle between magnetic field and area. Magnetic field is this direction, area is this direction, that theta will be 60. So this will be equal to magnetic field is 0.6. The entire area is S square, that is 1 by root 2 into 1 by root 2, 1 by 2 into cos 60, that is 1 by 2. So this will be 0.6 divided by 4, which is 0.15 Tesla meter square. Hope that's clear. Now let's look into boundary conditions. Boundary conditions will go quite fast here because we have already seen the boundary conditions in quite detail in electrostatics, right? In electrostatics, what did we see? We see del bar dot E bar is equal to rho upon epsilon naught, and we saw del bar cross E bar is equal to 0. Dot gives perpendicular component, so E perpendicular above minus E perpendicular below is equal to sigma upon epsilon naught. Cross gives parallel component, and we had E parallel above is equal to E parallel below. In magnetostatics, we have seen the divergence del bar dot E bar B bar is equal to 0, and the curl del bar cross B bar is equal to mu naught J bar. So since the divergence is 0, we will have B perpendicular above is equal to B perpendicular below, and the curl will be B parallel above minus B parallel below is equal to mu naught K. Hope that's clear. It's quite easy. If you know these formulas, you can easily understand these formulas. For the potential, what did we see? For the potential in electrostatics, we saw V above is equal to V below and del V upon del N above, or N, let's say, at the boundary minus del V below upon del N at the boundary is equal to minus sigma upon epsilon naught. Here what we have is, for the magnetic vector potential, A above is equal to A below and del A above upon del N, these are all vector quantities, at the boundary minus del A below upon del N at the boundary is equal to minus mu naught K. We will stop here. In the next part, we will look into multipole expansion of potential and some other things. Peace be upon you.